It is only the beginning of February, and DraftKings has launched a $1 million NFL Best Ball tournament, $250,000 to first place for just a $10 entry fee. So, of course, here at Spike Week, what do? We draft best ball teams. So that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to try to take down 250,000 smackers on DraftKings.com in a fantasy football draft in February. Let's do it. Hello, GM, I believe, as the kids say it. Good afternoon. Welcome to Spike Week. If you've not joined us before, welcome. My name is Erik Beimfohr. I'm the creator of Spike Week, and we're going to draft some best ball teams today. It never stops. I'm particularly excited, though, about this DraftKings tournament. Historically, underdog to a lesser degree, drafters. Of course, there's FFPC stuff out there for the fantasy football sickos that want to grind this stuff year round. Those have been the sweet spots, right? Underdog having the big board with, $100,000, $200,000 to first place. This year, the big board is great. $1 million prize pool, $200,000 to first place, a few different tournaments. But DraftKings said, hold my beer. They are getting into the pre-draft sweepstakes, and we have a variety of different tournaments over here on DraftKings. The one we're going to be drafting today is this $10, the $1 million training camp. I'm going to quickly pull up that to get a quick overview of what this tournament looks like and why I like it so much. DraftKings has 20 rounds. So we're working off 20 rounds on all sites now. We don't really do FFPC here, but on DraftKings, Underdog, and Drafters, now it's nice and easy. 20 rounds everywhere. DraftKings always is 20 rounds, but Underdog expands to 20 rounds in the pre-draft contests. So we can really flex our muscle a little bit at the end of drafts. This year is a little bit of a peculiar one, but we'll get into that when we pop into a draft. But of course, $10 to enter, and as is almost always the case on DraftKings, the top two in your 12-person pod in the regular season advance, right? And then we get to the second round. And what's kind of interesting about this particular tournament is it's fairly difficult to advance in round 2 and round 3, right? 12-person pods, and the top one team, right? The winning team in week 16. The winning team in week 15, the winning team in week 16 advance. So it's not going to be that easy to make it to the final here. But if you can make it to the final, it is only 136 player final. So DraftKings has actually kind of gone a little bit the opposite direction of what they do with like their Millie Maker main flagship tournament over the summer, where it's like 1,200 people make the final, and like, sure, you want to make it because you want to win $1 million or $2 million, but you still have to beat 1,000 other teams or something like that. Not the case here in this tournament. And so if you make it to the final, you go top 2 out of 12 in your regular season pod, and then 1 out of 12, 1 out of 12. You only have to beat 135 other teams in the final. So big fan of that. If you make it to the final, the minimum payout is $500, which is, if you max this thing, that doesn't get you all of your money back, but still, so that's 50, right? That's 50 teams. If you play 50 teams and you get one to the final, just that has allowed you to break even. So a particularly, so it's a little bit top heavy, but if you can make it to the final, there's a smaller final, right? To compete against. And so there are some other tournaments, right? They have a 5 max $33. That's even smaller, right? There's only 6 people that even make it to that final. 2 out of 12, 2 out of 12, 2 out of 8, and then a 6-person final in search of $5,000. They have, a $1 tournament here. You see $100K prize pool, 20 entry max, $1 entry fee. So for just $1, you can win $10,000. The most anybody can draft into that is 20. We have a nice variety up to they of course have their $333 tournament as well for the people that want to spend a little bit more, little bit higher stakes. But I love what DraftKings has brought here to the pre-draft sort of landscape. Some fun tournaments, I think some fun structures, and I'm going to be drafting quite a bit on here. It's also nice that like you have the $1 option, right? If you want to just really kind of mess around, have some fun, don't go super crazy on your bankroll, save some of it for the summer. $20, right? You could go donate blood and make more than $20. Or even the flagship is only $10 to enter. So not as big of a bankroll strain. I think they did a really good job sort of catering to like kind of the feelings, right, of the best ball sickos at this point in time in the year, where like, look, it's a long year of drafting. Even the sickos like me and like you guys, you hit a little bit of a rut. Maybe you don't want to be drafting around the clock in February and March. And, you know, I'm a big basketball fan, so this is basketball season now that football is over. But having it be a lower price point, it's a little bit more difficult to make the final. But if you can make the final with this tournament, any of these tournaments, there's a lot of upside. And like I said, there's price points for everybody. Let's hit some comments as well. Let's get in. Let's go ahead and get into this draft first, and then we'll chop it up. Looks like it is 5 of 12. 5 of 12. Does the 1 out of 12 advance rate from Ben, does the 1 out of 12 advance rate change your draft strategy at all? I don't think it changes my draft strategy much, but what I will say is this time of year sort of lends itself to this anyway, but even more so with a difficult advancement structure, having guys with the late season upside is even more important. We kind of draft like that already. And this year in particular, you know, or this time of year in particular, what are we doing with rookies and free agents? You're sort of setting yourself up for that anyway, but it can be easy to fall into the trap of there's so much uncertainty right now. I'm going to draft the guys where like, yeah, sure, this guy isn't the highest upside, but I'm going to draft this guy because I at least feel comfortable like he's going to be on a team, right? I know what his role is generally going to be. And there's nuance to that, of course. How do our players blend together on our teams? We want to have some of these sort of chaperone type guys, but I don't want to forget the idea that I'm drafting in February, and where this tournament really becomes difficult is in mid to late December. So the guys that I am going to need on my teams are less likely to be the, you know, sort of boring old veterans. Those can help us get the young players, the free agents, the contingent value bets, the guys who win you in like this, you know, we always call it like in big board times, but in pre-draft tournament times, since we're drafting on DraftKings, the winners are like the undervalued rookies, the free agents who sign somewhere and end up as really, really undervalued, right? When the cards flip over in May and we're drafting in the DK Millie, this guy that was a 14th round pick is going in the 6th round now, right? We want to take on some of that risk to find that upside. And so it doesn't change my strategy, like in terms of structure, right? How many of each position to draft, those kinds of things. But what is the point of drafting in February, especially in a tournament with these advancement structures, if we're not going to take some swings? You know what I mean? Like, no risk it, no biscuit. We're up to 10 out of 12. Shout out to Felix. Of course, he's excited for DraftKings because he became a millionaire via DraftKings.com and Best Ball. OTR says smaller finals and all the money in the finals will be the dream. Not the popular opinion, I know. I'm more on this side. I don't think all the money in the finals is good, just because it's not good for the ecosystem, right? Just think about if 99% of people put their money in and get 0 back. That's just really bad for the overall ecosystem, eventually those players stop playing. Right? They may stop playing right away, but eventually, because I had one finals team out of 1,300 teams or whatever this year. It was a bad year for me. I would have got completely and utterly wiped out. I still made some money back, right? Even having a bad season. It's easy. Oh man, I'm on the clock in some baseball drafts. But I am more of the proponent of a little bit smaller finals and making it a little bit more difficult with all of the playoff sweat is what makes best ball for me personally. Drafting is really fun. Drafting, thinking about the strategy of the game. But in terms of what like sort of brings the most joy, the most dopamine, the most, pleasure and sometimes displeasure is all the playoff. It's the playoff rounds. The regular season, frankly, by like week 7, 8, 9 or whatever, unless it's like the eliminator or something, you get a little bored. But by the playoff time, it comes back around, and there's just, I think I told you guys this before. I've had an okay like DFS career. I had some really big, nothing like what Felix has had, or Karain or Sam or any of these guys, but had some multi-$100,000 days and been to 15 to 20 live finals. And like, so there's $5 million on the line at like some of these live finals. I've had those sweats, and I've never enjoyed anything as much as like making it to week 17 with a good live team and just enjoying that, because it's like all that hard work that was, instead of just like one team, that I did one DFS team one day. I put all this work in and all this time, and it's all come to fruition. I suffered through this grind for 16 weeks and made it to week 7. There's nothing quite like that. So I'm a little bit more on the side of emphasizing the playoff part of best ball and a little bit less of the regular season. And I know I agree with you that that's probably not the popular sentiment, but that's a little bit more of how I feel. What are your first take guys you're focused on differently on DraftKings full PPR format compared to underdog? That is a good question. I probably should have prepared a little bit more for that. I like, all right, pardon. Jamar Chase, sure. A guy who, of course, I think everybody likes this. This is a sort of a cop-out answer because everybody likes him on all sites. But I do think on DraftKings, it's a little bit more powerful. And this was also true like on DraftKings this past year for the player we're sort of pattern matching with. Clint Kubiak goes to Vegas now, away from Seattle, who was a PPR god because he was catching 6, 7, 8 passes every single week. Jackson Smith-Njigba. Of course, he was a great pick in all formats, but he wasn't like scoring 20 touchdowns. On PPR sites, it was like JSN was dropping 20 plus every single week. On Underdog, he was like good. Obviously, he's of course a guy you want to have on your best ball teams. But Brock Bowers strikes me as a little bit in that vein as well. I also think the Trey McBrides of the world were so powerful on DraftKings because he's catching 10 passes and he's getting the bonus, and he scored plenty of touchdowns. But the really, really high volume superstar tight ends on DraftKings, I think this is why sometimes there can be some conversation around the elite tight ends. And I think the scoring format really matters to them, right? In tight end premium, I think people understand that a lot, like on FFPC. But I think on DraftKings, if you can have a tight end who's going to catch, 100 plus passes in any week with like 3 cheap tight ends, you can kind of make that guy, like if even when Trey McBride scores a touchdown, like, okay, we got 20 points. That's amazing for a tight end. But like some cheap tight end gets 50, 5 for 50 and a touchdown. It's like, well, I got like within striking distance. But on DraftKings with full PPR with 100-yard bonus, those guys can just gap the field in a way that you can't make that up. You know what I mean? You can't make that up from like touchdown fair. Like Colby Parkinson, it has been like a pretty good pick in to varying degrees right over the course of the last couple seasons. But let's use Rams tight ends. Rams tight ends like score a bunch of touchdowns. They can catch a few passes a week, but they're just never going to go like 12 for 100. It's just not going to happen. But Brock Bowers could be sort of this weird tight end version-ish, right, of Jackson Smith and Jigba for Clint Kubiak now. I'm going to build the passing game around this guy. And that may not mean he scores a lot of touchdowns. My Ashton Genty might score a lot of touchdowns, but Ashton Genty might not catch a lot of passes, right? And Brock Bowers is catching a lot of the passes. And so the way that the scoring system is set up, I think the superstar tight ends, it doesn't have to just be McBride and Bowers, of course, but the superstar tight ends who can catch a million passes, can hit those bonuses that the other tight ends cannot hit, I think is one of the big differentiators between Underdog and DraftKings, and even Drafters to a little bit of an extent. Full PPR on Drafters, but there's no 100-yard bonus. And speaking of, we come on the clock. Oh, I got to log into the Draft Hacker. Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers comes up. Sign in and go back. 30-second clock's brutal. It's so funny. The Underdog has been 30-second clocks for forever, and one little sees like they try out the 20-second clock. I don't even really love the 20-second clocks. Most of the fast drafts I do though are on shows, and like when I'm doing something else, so it doesn't really bother me whether it's fast or whether it's 10 seconds faster per, right? Whether it's 33% faster. I really don't mind. I really don't mind the 30-second clocks, but I haven't really thought that much about it. But I know people, it's like the payout structures and advancement structures. We all have our preferences, but some people are just more passionate about those things than I am. And it doesn't really bother me, the 30-second thing. Yeah, Kenny Gainwell. So Kenny Gainwell is a good one in terms of like last year, he was a great DraftKings pick. Kenny Gainwell is a free agent. Aaron Rodgers is probably not back on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's it's not Arthur Smith calling the plays. It is Mike McCarthy. I am actually semi-excited for what Mike McCarthy can bring to the offense from a fantasy sense, but Kenny Gainwell is not really in my player pool right now, just because I think it was a lot of Rodgers plus Arthur Smith. But to your point, that type of player can be really valuable on DraftKings and not so valuable on Underdog. Oh wow, Nico, eh? First share. This is full disclosure. This is my third draft into the $10 here on DraftKings, and I had let's see what you'll see some. Yeah, so like I've drafted T-Mac. I have a JT and a CD team, I believe. A JT and a CD team so far. I have already drafted Bowers, so I think this will put me to a nice 67% Brock Bowers. Need my pass pro. Yeah, this is I of all the things I thought I would become known for by like 6 people on planet Earth. You don't grow up thinking they're going to know that you talk about pass protection on fantasy football shows a lot, but that we don't get to choose the things that we have to champion, I guess. It just comes about naturally sometimes, and this is mine: running backs with pass protection. But sell me on Emmett Johnson. I mean, Emmett, I haven't. So full disclosure, I have not gotten into all of my running back. Like I haven't. I do actually like to watch the running backs pass protect. Sometimes it's very obvious because you've watched them a lot. Like Kyren Williams, as an example, was sort of what led me into all of this stuff, where I did like Kyren because Kyren checked these boxes. Awesome pass protector in college, awesome receiver in college. Now, awesome receiver and awesome pass protector can be a little bit misused. Like Bucky Irving is an awesome receiver, but he can't pass protect. And so, right, and Kyren Williams is not as dynamic as Bucky Irving as a receiver, but in college, like, he can catch the ball. They used him quite frequently, and he's not running routes like Christian McCaffrey or Bucky Irving or Jahmyr Gibbs, right? Jahmyr Gibbs is like the best college receiving running back in like almost ever. But what you really want to do is check these boxes of being trusted to do all of this stuff, being competent as a pass protector. And then how I view the receiver stuff is maybe a little bit different than the average person does. It's a lot less about the efficiency and stuff because in our game, sure, it'd be great if you're as dynamic of a receiver as Gibbs and CMC, but Najee Harris catching 10 passes, from the corpse of Big Ben when he came into the league, that's just as good, right? And so it also gives you the opportunity to stay on the field, which is ultimately the main goal. How do you become like a workhorse like Kyren Williams was? He wasn't quite as much this year. How do you become a workhorse like someone like a Kyren Williams? Whatever. You don't have to be the world's best receiver or the world's best pass protector, but the team needs to trust you in those roles. They can't say like a Ken Walker. They can't even say like, look, Ken, we know you're a really dynamic runner, but we don't trust you in pass protection. And we don't really trust you to catch the ball even on checkdowns consistently enough. So we're going to take you off the field in long down and distance and in things like the 2-minute drill or the form, or right when we're trailing, when we're losing, we're in obvious passing situations, we're going to take you off the field. That's really that can turn you from a first round pick into a 4th or a 5th round pick. Right. And that's a huge difference. So speaking of superstar tight ends, oh man, it's a good price on Loveland though. I have Bowers. So let's take Burden then. But Emmett, to your point / question on Emmett Johnson, I think he was trusted at Nebraska to do all that for sure. For 2 years, he was trusted to do all of that at Nebraska. And I think any NFL team that drafts him, that's part of the reason why you draft a guy like that, is because Emmett Johnson is not Christian McCaffrey or Jahmyr Gibbs. But Emmett Johnson strikes me as Kyren Williams maybe a little bit on steroids. Like, I think he's going to test better. I think he's a better athlete, more explosive athlete. I don't mean Kyren was a really good athlete for college and of course high school. Shout out St. Louis. But I think Emmett, like I've mentioned this multiple times. It's funny how he continues to come up. I'm not finished with I'm not finished with my whole rookie process, but Emmett is my RB2 behind Jeremiah Love. And part of it is because of exactly what you're talking about. I think, will he be the second best running back in this class? I think it's possible. Well, I mean, I wouldn't bet on anyone, other than Jeremiah Love, being that top guy. The most likely scenario is that you're not. And I'm not sure that he has necessarily the absolute single highest ceiling of any of these guys. Anybody? Let's done Rome. Let's scroll it a little bit for our boy Parker Washington. Speaking of good at football. I don't know that Emmett Johnson just strikes me as a little bit of like a Kyren Williams plus prospect, bigger, probably more athletic, but maybe not the single most dynamic player you've ever seen in your entire life, but just a rock solid football player that does all, from a fantasy lens, that does all the stuff that we need him to do for him to earn a role that scores a lot of fantasy points. Now we just need the landing spot. Late round running back. Here we come. I have started with a very zero RB room. Between Scattaboo and Judkins, I'm having a really hard time clicking either at their prices. Both injuries scare me for a 4th round and 5th round price. Ben agrees. I also agree. I like Scat a little bit more than you do, but I think kind of dovetails off of the conversation we were just having. Judkins had a high volume role on a bad team as an early down runner. He did not have the passing down, like he didn't catch passes at all. Is that going to happen under a new coach off of an injury? Dylan Sampson was a more dynamic receiver than him. They may bring in a veteran as well. Maybe it's Rocket Sanders, who was competent in the passing game, at least in terms of protection and stuff. It's murky in Cleveland. Whereas With Scadaboo, I do think, of course, the injury is concerning. Like, it's so hard to have a conversation about those guys. Because on one hand, I'll say I actually kind of like Scadaboo and I dislike Judkins, and they both have very serious injuries. And you could say, well, if you dislike one, why do you like, but I think everything is risk reward. I don't think the reward for Judkins is worth the risk with his injury and his profile. I didn't love him as a prospect. He's fine. I didn't love him as a prospect. I think I was like a little bit too low on him, but not like, but also he wasn't that great last year. So I don't have super duper reservations about like not loving the talent there. He's fine. Whereas Scadaboo, I also think is like not like a truly special NFL football player, but he is that Kyren Williams, that Emmett Johnson. He can absolutely consolidate a backfield. He's clearly a goal line hammer, right? So he's going to get goal line work, but he's, especially if he ever learns to pick his head up when he protects the passer, right? They trusted him in as a passing down back. He has great hands. It's goofy. And everything about Cam Scadaboo is goofy. So I'm a little bit more willing to draft Scadaboo despite the very clear risk of the injury. Because I think I'm excited about the Giants offense. I'm much more excited about the Giants offense than the Browns offense. And I think his profile is, if everything works out injury wise, at least down the stretch, you can have, a top 10 back on your hands. I haven't drafted Lawrence yet. I pick 69 for Lawrence though. But let's build a Trevor Lawrence team. I need to force myself to take a little bit of DK Metcalf. I mentioned kind of liking the Steelers. I think I still don't love DK Metcalf, but we're getting a little bit better price on him as opposed to last year. And I think granted, it's probably not Rodgers, but I think McCarthy's going to bring an actual 2026 offense, not 1996 offense like Arthur Smith was running and Aaron Rodgers was running. And so I think we're going to get a little bit more heavy passing volume. And that's good for the pass catchers, and they're not priced like it. Why wasn't Travion used more if he was excellent at both? Because he wasn't as good as Ramondre at both. His prospect profile was excellent at both. I'm going to take Ricky Pearsall here. Yes, I need to start drafting some running backs, but I can't pass on Ricky Pearsall. The price is awesome. Brandon Ayuk is going to be gone. George Kittle is hurt, and Juwan Jennings is a free agent, and they need to fix the defense. I don't know how, I don't know how much they're going to spend at the wide receiver position. I think Ricky Pearsall is awesome click for the Niners. But Travion was an awesome prospect in pass protection and as a receiver. And I think he was still a good receiver for the Patriots. But he, as rookies tend to do, still screwed up in pass protection early in the season. And Ramondre is frankly better than him in the passing game overall, and the team trusted Ramondre more. And so I think super long term, Travion can earn that role, but I don't. With him and Ramondre both on the team, Ramondre played well, man. We have to call a spade a spade. Ramondre was both a good click in fantasy last year and good real life for the Patriots. And so I think Travion's going to be fine in that regard long term. But short term, he just wasn't as good as Ramondre, which is why I don't think Travion's price is particularly appealing this year, right? Everybody, like, we're talking about the Judkins, the Scadaboos, the hurt guys, and like the free agents and stuff like that. And like, no one loves Travion. Again, Travion was my RB2 last year. Loved him. Drafted a shit ton of Travion Henderson last year. I don't even think it was really bad. But what happened? Like, Ramondre's going to be back. They're just going to run it back. What is going to change? Like, it's not like Ramondre played poorly and Trayvon's just like chomping at the bit to steal the work from him. He played well. It's hard for me to imagine that too much shifts. Trayvon's going to play more than he did down the stretch of this past season, of course. But he's sure as fuck better. He goes at like pick 50. He goes ahead of Ramondre. Pick 43 in this draft for Trayvon. Tootin went. I'll take Kyle. I don't love the Kyle price either, but one thing I do think about in these pre-draft tournaments is, on one hand, there's prices that are just wrong, either too expensive or too cheap, that we want to take advantage of. But being overly price sensitive on, like, okay, using the Kyle Monangai example, Kyle Monangai should, he goes, I took him at 93. If I think he should be in the early 100s, that doesn't mean I never want to have this guy, especially on like a 0 RB room where I could specifically use someone like him who's going to score fantasy points from week 1 through the end of the season and then has contingent value. It's like, are you overpaying for that a little bit? Possibly. You're also overpaying for DeAndre Swift, but figuring out when the price is so wrong that you want 0, you absolutely do not want to draft that player, or the price is wrong to where, like, this guy's not a pillar of my draft strategy, but I don't really have any reasons to draft 0 of him. Figuring out that is like kind of the whole thing with the pre-draft contests. And, I'm still working through it, as I assume almost everyone is still working through it. But that is the game. You see, I have 100% of that. Let's do Dowdle's gone. Let's do a Chuba team. There's another one. I'm not like particularly excited about Chuba Hubbard, but I think we went from Chuba was too cheap 2 years ago, smashed. Then Chuba got way too expensive this past year, sucked. And now Rico Dowdle's going to be gone. I think Jonathan Brooks will be back and filling in that role, but I think we're going to go back to like, all right, now we're at a good, this is right. This price is fine. Pick 100 Chuba Hubbard. Got it. Cool. Again, not a pillar of my draft strategy. Does he make sense, particularly on a team like this? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the QB thirst on DraftKings is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Part of why I was like, yeah, I'll just take Lawrence. Another one. The quarterback prices where you're like, man, that maybe that price is a little bit rich. Do some drafts and tell me if you keep waiting on quarterback, I hope you love Bryce Young, and I do love Malik Willis, but I hope you got some guys late in drafts that you really like, because if you keep pushing it too much on the old quarterback position on DraftKings, it is going to get ugly fast. Look at all the red. Look at all this red. Look at that. That's incredible. From the 502 to the 9-8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 quarterbacks between the 502 and the 908. 16 quarterbacks. And that's like this isn't like, oh my God, you were in a crazy draft. Nope. This is how it goes on DraftKings. So something to keep in mind as well. 3 QBs before round 10 is a choice. Well, the math says you need to draft 3 quarterbacks, maybe even 4, right? My model says quarterbacks add the most points, and I don't know how many points these guys are going to score. So I'm just going to rip a bunch of quarterbacks. my team's going to project for a lot of points with all the quarterbacks. I am drafting more, 3 quarterback teams than I will later. But I don't find that. I don't find the whole, maybe I'm just, and I definitely am, way too in our little like best ball bubble stuff where we're like, how many years are we going to debate this? Like, how many of each position to draft? Like, I don't find it that interesting. Maybe it's because I've been drafting thousands of teams a year for 6 years. And so my perspective is even more warped than anyone. And that is probably true. But I just don't find the whole, like, how many quarterbacks should we draft thing that interesting. You can win with any structure. Let's see here. Speaking of quarterbacks. Yikes. See, speaking of bad prices, the Darnold price is outrageous. What's the tight end? I don't really want to take Strange here, but let's do that. Frees me up for a whole mess of late round running backs, and I need to address quarterback here pretty shortly. We are in round 10, about to be round 12 or round 11, right? Yeah, so into round 11, the top quarterbacks available: Fernando Mendoza, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Cam Ward, Malik Willis, Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, JJ McCarthy. Yikes. Yeah. Algier is such a good pick. I swear I'm going to smash one of these years doing 2792 builds. Yeah, I mean, if you draft the right players and your players stay healthy, it like doesn't really matter. Yeah. I'm going to take Mendoza. I have Brock Bowers. So one thing, as I assume everyone else is, this is the least, speaking of not interesting conversations, I assume everyone is also assuming that Fernando Mendoza is on the Raiders, because that's what you should be assuming. Not that excited about Fernando Mendoza, the prospect, but starting quarterback, first overall pick, Clint Kubiak offense, kind of just whatever. I'll take my continue to take my medicine on Mendoza. Love this. Ben says Bears can save $7.5 million cutting Swift. About to find out if Ben Johnson actually hates him still. See, I don't think he hates him. Maybe he was, but Ben Johnson doesn't really mince words. He kind of tells it like it is. He's not afraid to say when a player's not performing and what they're doing wrong. And he never really did that with DeAndre Swift this year. And he really spoke highly of him. Shout out to the Coach Peak Index with all the reading and millions of coach quotes over the course of the last calendar year. But I don't really think he hates him. Now, saving 7.5 million is saving 7.5 million. Wouldn't blame anybody for doing that. And I'm not some big DeAndre Swift fan either. But considering the success they had, he and Monangai does make logical sense in the backfield with some cheap contracts, right, littered around the roster, from Caleb to Rome to Burden to Loveland and Monangai himself. They need to improve the defense for sure. So does cutting Swift help get them there? Maybe, but then you still got to find another back, right? So it'll be interesting. Definitely. Both stumbled on the same word. Interesting. The word that we all stumble across when we don't really know it. what percentage of the time do you think you say that's interesting, and what you really mean is it's not interesting, but I just don't know what, like, interesting is often the code word for I don't really care. But I say and it's like it's signs that you need to continue to work on your vocabulary, which I definitely need to do and try to sometimes. But like, if you continue to say something is interesting, it means you don't have a developed enough vocabulary to. And I'm not saying that you do, Ben, but it is interesting that we use the word interesting all the time. I'm going to take Malik. Speaking 3 quarterback stuff, I'm going to take Malik. Let's see. Am I in trouble if I'm sitting at over 75% Trey Harris? No, absolutely not. Martingale season. I think Trey Harris is an awesome click. I think the price is wrong. Price is wrong, bitch. I'm willing to pay the prices for early to mid quarterback. However, I'm wondering if eventually the market will push many of these guys down. I don't remember so many mid quarterbacks going before round 10. I think if you see, I can pull up the rankings in a minute, our Spike Week rankings. What I did and what I think the market is doing is understanding there's so much uncertainty. Pardon. Why are these guys lighting up in blue? That's not right. How about a James Conner? Let me refresh this real quick. I think what the market is saying. So if I go here, let's go to DraftKings rankings here. All right, so I got let me move my dome. I got the DraftKings rankings up on the site, right? So what I did you see here, what I did, and I think this is correct, is take basically all the quarterbacks that I like and have have them ahead of ADP, sometimes substantially ahead of ADP. And it's partially because of what we talked about before. It's going to be constantly like slapping you in the face, like, hey, dum-dum, remember to take quarterbacks because they're going to get wiped out. But also in like pre-draft contests, 2 parts to this. In pre-draft contests, we kind of know there's a bunch of running back, wide receiver, even tight end ADPs that are wrong. The quarterbacks are fairly locked in. It's like, so just the one thing you can't do, in my opinion, in these early contests is ruin your quarterback room. Like the worst thing you can do, and when you could, right? I'm screwing up my running back room in this draft. Certainly possible. Some might say that I already have. But you can almost always recover. There's going to be late of every position, basically, that we look back in May, June, July, August, whatever, and we're like, that dude was an 18th round pick in February. That's crazy. RJ Harvey was like undrafted for a lot of the pre-draft tournaments last year. There's just, and I'm not saying RJ Harvey was like a smash, but he was clearly very valuable as a last round pick, right? There's tons of those guys. Now, will you pinpoint them on any team? Who the hell knows? But the one thing you can't like recover from is the quarterback room stuff. Not only because you'll get wiped out in these drafts, and because there's a very limited supply, particularly this year, where there's not outside of Fernando Mendoza, I'm not sure that there's a rookie quarterback that's going to start. And the veterans that are going to potentially, settle into this game of musical chairs are not really very appealing. And even some of them are not like really late round picks. If you push it too far on quarterback, not only is the room going to wipe you out and punish you, you're not even going to necessarily have quarterbacks who play this year. Like maybe Kirk Cousins is a starter somewhere. Maybe Marcus Mariota is. Maybe Jacoby Brissett is. Maybe not. Maybe only for a short period of time. Who the hell knows? Right. And so, I mean, this is kind of becoming the every year. Wheel Route says 62 quarterbacks started a game in the NFL last season. That's becoming a little bit of an annual. I don't know what's going on here. It's becoming a little bit of an annual shit show for the quarterback position. Somebody asked about Vidal, or somebody mentioned Vidal. Let's do Braylon first. So I'm sitting through, what is that, 12? Oh my God, 14. Great math. 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends through 14 rounds. Took Braylon Allen, but as you could see on your screen via the old draft hacker, through 2 drafts, I have 100% Kamani Vidal, and OTR says Harris, aka Trey Harris, and Kamani Vidal seem like solid picks at ADP. The Chargers as a whole are really priced up this year, so take the cheaper pieces. I have no notes. Love both of those players. They're going to be 2 of my highest known players in the pre-draft tournaments, and I really love the Chargers, but I'm going to, dare I say, take my medicine on Ladd, QJ, Gadsden I like a little bit more, but I'm going to have a bunch of Herbert, and I don't want all my Herbert to be like Herbert, Trey Harris, Kamani Vidal stacks. So I'm going to take those other guys, and but none of them are going to be pillars of my pre-draft tournament, but Justin Herbert might be. Yeah, there you go. Derek Carr is going to start 8+ games this season. It's very possible. See, this current quarterback situation, this shortage of quarterbacks in the NFL is so crazy. Derek Carr is like, dude, I could go make 10 whatever million. You know, I could go make millions more by coming back. You know, I haven't taken Chimere. I'm not going to take a lot of Chimere DK, but I'm gonna sprinkle them in here. I have some other late round receivers that I like quite a bit more, but I actually don't hate. I only have 4 running backs, and I know running back people. This room will probably make you uncomfortable, but it doesn't actually make me uncomfortable. Kyle Monangai, Chuba Hubbard, James Conner, Braylon Allen. Now, I think there's a lot of risk here with James Conner's age and injury. Braylon Allen's injury and the Jets' risk is stinky, very stinky. But if James Conner's back as a starting running back for the Arizona, like Chuba Hubbard's a starting running back for the Panthers. Kyle Monangai's the 1A, 1B with the Bears. James Conner could be the starting running back for the Arizona Cardinals. Braylon Allen could be the starting running back for the New York Jets. And I have a decent clip of late running backs that I really, really like. So done at tight end with Bowers, Strange, done at quarterback already. And my wide receivers are very strong. Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, Luther Burden, Parker Washington, Ricky Pearsall. And of course, Chimere DK. Wheel route likes Isaiah Davis. So do I. Let's see. Let me go here. Let's see. Braylon, I have 30 picks ahead of ADP, and Isaiah Davis. Oh, I need to move Isaiah Davis up. And Isaiah Davis, I have about, as a last round pick, essentially. I'm a little more confident that Braylon has a real role, but I think that's probably a little bit wrong. I think Isaiah Davis needs to move up a little bit, but because I agree with you that I like him. Is there risk, substantial risk, right? That the Jets, whoever is the starting running back for the Jets, we're all assuming Brees is gone, right? Under that assumption, is there still risk that someone else ends up this, whether it's a new rookie or a veteran or whatever comes in? And of course, but that's like more than priced in. And so that's why I like the Jets running backs, not because I'm like pounding the table that Braylon or whoever is going to be this. And there's Trey Harris. Bingo, bango, bongo. 3, 4, 7, 2. We'll either get to 7 running backs or 8 running backs, one of the two, and then then in turn we'll either get to one more receiver or two more receivers. Let's see. Pop in a one more of these suckers. So we do quick shameless promotion every Wednesday. It is at 7 out of 12 here, this new draft I just entered. Every Wednesday, if you are in the Spike Week Discord, which of course comes as part of your premium subscription, the rankings you're seeing, the tools the draft hacker that you're seeing, everything that you're seeing, all comes as part of our one premium subscription. Is $39.99 a month if you just want to try it for a couple months. In this pre-draft cycle, or try for a month, or you can pay $200 for the entire calendar year, 365 days. So you'll be covered for the summer. You'll be covered for right? We got baseball rankings and the tools work for every single sport, yada, yada, yada. But the Discord is a lot of fun. There's, almost 2,000 people in there chopping it up, talking best ball 365 days out of the year. A lot of baseball talk going on right now. But also, of course, NFL offseason. When the combine happens, we'll be talking a lot about that, I'm sure. And every Wednesday in the Discord, we have what we call the lab, where a bunch of people get together. It's really just a Zoom call, but kind of like a hangout, instead of me talking to my computer screen and us typing back and forth to each other or whatever, we all can chop it up a little bit more in person, if you will. Did Vele go? Yeah, he did. Okay, Vele went. So I'm gonna get my last receiver here with Ryan Flanoy. I know that the Cowboys are going to likely franchise tag George Pickens, but I don't care. Ryan Flanoy is the wide receiver 3 in that instance, and he was quite good in that role anyway. I also imagine George Pickens being the kind of guy that doesn't really like getting a franchise tag. Looks like we are pick 6 in this. Pun intended. Pick 6 over here. But Wednesdays in the lab, a little fun hangout in the Discord, which of course you can also just join the Discord for $5 a month. If you're not interested in the tools and the rankings and the content and all this stuff, I get it. Totally get it. Come hang out, ask questions, just listen. I think me and Rob are the only people that turn our cameras on. And yes, you have to suffer through Rob being in there. But talking best ball 365 days a year, kind of crazy. Find myself taking larger stands in pre-draft stuff because I feel like prices are more wrong. I think that's a lot of people's natural tendencies. You're also very excited about the new year, and it's easier to convince yourself of this price is wrong. And I mean, the prices are just inherently more wrong because there's so much more uncertainty at this time of season. But we're wrong about what's wrong also at a much higher clip. And we're wrong about that at a high clip all the time, right? But guys get cut, guys get traded, guys who are free agents that we don't expect to come back to their teams come back to their teams, guys who we expect to come back do not, right? Whether it's Javonte or George Pickens or DeAndre Swift gets cut or doesn't get cut, or someone gets traded, or there's so much chaos that I've had to open myself up to that question. It's something I've struggled with as well at this time of the year. That this particular pre-draft game is so different from the summer best ball game that I've had to remind myself that the player pool that's draftable, the amount of draftable players is so big. It is so massive how many players are, in my opinion, just good picks to awesome picks. I am going to take Devin Neal here. I'm not crazy excited for him, but Kamara is just so cooked. And the Saints still do not have cap space. And of course, Kendra Miller tore his ACL last year. Devin Neal, not amazing, but I think there's room for growth as a second year, not a breakout, right? But just second year growth. Came on fairly before he got hurt, came on fairly strong down the stretch. But just because you love one guy doesn't mean that there aren't other guys that you're like fine with. But it's easy to convince yourself, I'm just going to keep taking this guy and this guy because the price is wrong. It's like, but there's probably a lot of wrong prices. And there's probably other guys who, even if their prices aren't wrong, if your price is right, that doesn't mean you're a bad click either. And even if your price is wrong, like you're a little too expensive, it doesn't necessarily, because if I say, right, the Common guy thing, I'm like, man, I would really like Common guy around cheaper or something like that. It's like, but if I think Ryan Flanoy and Trey Harris are 4 rounds too cheap, well, who gives it? I've offset, if I'm right about that, I've offset the overpay on Common guy 3 times over. And so if Common guy is just like a good click, why do I care if I got him at 93 or 120? Because there's this guy at pick 190 that I think should be going at pick 120. So who cares? So just like constantly sort of reminding myself that like there's just a lot of guys that are interesting, at a minimum interesting, I think, clicks. Oh shoot, I autoed over here. Who did I get? JT, damn it. All right. Round 19 of this draft. Mike Washington has become a little bit more interesting. So has LeQuint, Jordan James. Oh, I haven't drafted Jordan James yet on. Let's do LeQuint actually first. I'll put Isaiah Davis in the queue for whoever brought him up for a wheel route in the chat. Yeah, as I mentioned, getting deeper into the rookie running backs. Still developing my opinions, but Mike Washington's levels of juice are intriguing for sure. Yeah, back to the quarterback stuff. I mean, it's crazy. Did anyone think Quinn Ewers was going to start or Riley Leonard? And Riley Leonard balled out against the Texans. Granted, in the second half they rested some guy. God damn it. Let's try a running back team. Jeremiah. A little JT Jeremiah love. Get out of our comfort zone a little bit here. Jeremiah Love, of course. Another pride of St. Louis. Gentlemen. It's a wonderful time. It's a wonderful time to be from the Lou. Let's see. I just want to queue up some other running backs. I do like DeMond. I'm a little bit concerned about DeMond, but I do like DeMond. I'm a little bit concerned about DJ Giddens too, but one guy I want to make sure in terms of scrolling, and no, I do not have the rankings uploaded into here just yet, but that's because I am an idiot and forgot to do that this morning before I started ripping some drafts. But I think like Malik Davis is like a sneaky dark horse candidate to be like, wait, he's going undrafted, and he was like awesome when he got into a role with the Cowboys. Is he going to be back on the Cowboys? Is he going to be, the third or fourth stringer on something? I have no fucking idea. But he was impressive when he got an opportunity with the Cowboys. And they strike me as a team that values that. And he's going to be very cheap. Ooh, I like this. After last year's running back class, is this going to be the year of the year 2 running back? That is a good. God damn. Ooh. Oh, Rasheed coming back to you when you start double RB. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. You really do love to see it. Is this going to be the year of the year 2 running back? So part of the problem is, of course, Judkins and Scat got hurt. Travion is a little bit blocked. RJ, somebody asked about RJ Harvey. Thank you. I am going to do Jordan James, though. I much prefer Jordan James. So quickly to recap this, the 0 RB team, and then we'll finish drafting the superhero running back team. Jamar Chase, Brock Bowers, Nico Collins, Luther Burden, Parker Washington. Trevor Lawrence stacked with Parker Washington. Ricky Pearsall, Kyle Monangai finally to break the seal on running backs. Chuba Hubbard, Brenton Strange, of course, little double stack on with Lawrence. Fernando Mendoza stacked with Brock Bowers, and then Malik Willis. We gave in to the 3 quarterback propaganda, but I love Malik Willis. I'm drafting the ever loving shit out of Malik Willis, and I'm a little bit, uncomfortable with Fernando Mendoza. I think this is a fun. I like this. Of course, Lawrence, Mendoza, Willis is a fun quarterback room. James Conner, Braylon Allen. So we're at a very sketchy little running back room here. Shamiri DK, Trey Harrison, Ryan Flanoy to round out the receiver room. And then Devin Neal, LaQuint Allen, and Jordan James. So we sort of, put together a little bit of contingent value with LaQuint and Jordan James. Devin Neal, like maybe maybe he is the starting running back for the New Orleans Saints, right? Maybe Braylon Allen is this sort of like hodgepodge of maybe they're just like the starters, but they're maybe not the absolute like mega home run clicks combined with a little bit of the contingent value, like home run clicks. If something happens to Christian McCaffrey or Bashal Tutin or Travis Etienne goes somewhere, right? You get the point. Fun team. Interesting team, dare I say. Interesting. We get it, Rick. You're so busy. Draft took an hour. Rick is so busy. He could not be bothered to participate in an hour-long hangout with his internet buddies. You're so busy with all of your 3,000 drafts you do every year. I took Burden last time. Let's do Zay. Complaining about how long drafts are when you do 3,000 fantasy football drafts a year has to be one of the funnier complaints I've ever heard. It has to be. I mean, I get it. I totally understand. But like, fucking multitask. I know you're already multitasking. You're watching this and talking to me and probably working or at happy hour. Oh, I can't believe how much time I'm spending on this, he says as he enters his 2,493rd draft of the summer. Got some MLB slows up top there. I do. Yes, I do. Continuing to enter every day, a few more MLB slows. Spring training getting ready to rock. Anthony Santander being out for the season already, putting a nice little hole in the. I haven't done a ton of. Thankfully, I didn't go super crazy when all the tournaments opened because Santander would have been he's on a good clip of my teams that I drafted already. The price I think was terrible. Speaking of prices that are wrong, turns out it was wrong. The price was wrong on Santander in that he's like not going to play baseball this year. Congrats on the value. The value. Yeah, what a kick in the junk. That's going to happen. That the Joe Mixon, if you will. That's going to happen in why is this not showing you? I kind of hate this little spot of the draft, by the way. We'll do Christian Watson. Give me some outs to Jordan Love. I mean, I say this about myself too, and my wife probably gets very annoyed at it when she'll be like, sharing something that happens at work. I'm such a kind husband. I make fun of it, but it's like me complaining, right? Like I feel uncomfortable complaining about my job. It's like 99%, other than the top 1%ers that are making so much money, they don't care, right? 99% of normal folk would be like, I will take your job in the blink of an eye. It's not hard. You're talking about fantasy sports for a living, right? And researching fantasy sports and all that kind of stuff. And so anytime I complain, or think about complaining, I try to think about that, and that's what this reminded me of. First world problems. Incredible. Scotchy plays poker full time. I think I am recalling your avatar now. I mean, I obviously recognize the name, but I'm recalling the poker avatar now. That's a little tougher gig than fantasy, because I'm not reliant upon the profits from my fantasy play. I profit from sports betting. I do a lot of sports betting, and I play DFS. Had a profitable DFS year last year, and grinding player props and news and stuff like that is profitable, but that's more like fun money, and the bills are paid from this profession, JT, Jeremiah Love, Rasheed Rice, Zay Flowers, Christian Watson. How about, see, we are in the planning out the portfolio phases. How about a Harold Fannin team? How about a Harold Fannin team? Anyone that complains about their job should try teaching middle school. Couldn't do it. No chance. My sister is a teacher, a high school teacher, but she teaches freshmen in high school, and I would, no chance. The stories and everything I hear, sign me up for. The teachers are massively, massively, massively underpaid part of society. That is for sure. Yeah, and I mean, there's people, right, like doctors and teachers and like people actually doing things that make a difference. I do like this is not. I'm not talking about myself. I do think that like entertainers, comedians or whatever, musicians and stuff. It's like, it's not that their job is hard, of course, and no one should be complaining and right about being a comedian or whatever. But there's a lot of negativity out there in the world, and the people that can bring a smile to somebody's face, like especially like just like through talking or just through their own like art, are really valuable in society too. It's just they're often the really successful ones are certainly compensated well. So no need to complain about that profession either. My profession is completely useless. Completely useless. Let's set up. I don't have a quarterback, and I know this is not a stack, but let's set up the Herbert. Let's set up the Herbert Trey Harris stack. Just makes, as you see, so another perfect example. So Lamar goes in a similar spot to where he went before, and then you just start, okay, there nothing after Lamar until Daniels, but then it's like Daniels, May, Burrow, Hurts, Caleb, Lawrence, Dak, Herbert, like all in what's not even 2 rounds. In a round and a half, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In a round and a half, just like 8 quarterbacks go off the board. I mean, I think it's the. We'll talk endlessly for the next couple months, right, about the player evaluations and certainly different structures and strategies and all this different kind of stuff. I think, but the number one most important thing, specifically on DraftKings, is like you cannot screw up the quarterback position. Don't just fall into the trap of, this guy's at the top of the queue, this guy's at the top of my rankings, this guy, whatever. It's just because it goes fast. The red wedding comes and it goes, and if you're left, you are dead. If you are behind, you are dead. Any love for Tyler Warren or QB situation? I liked it. Yeah, I like Tyler Warren. Is he still around? No. Did Rick take him? Yeah, Rick took him. Yeah, great price on Tyler Warren. I just wanted to get Justin Herbert, and I'd already taken Harold Fannin. So Warren didn't make a whole mess of sense for me, particularly. Tyler Warren is I will say, interesting. Did it again. See how many times we can say interesting. But I do legitimately think he's interesting because there's this weird sort of balancing act with a guy like Tyler Warren where he's obviously good, clearly good at football. Is he, or can he become a fantasy star? Doesn't he be a fantasy star at this price, but he certainly needs to be very good. And I don't just mean Daniel Jones or Riley Leonard or whatever they do at the quarterback position. I just mean, like, is he that level of player, or is he just like really damn good? But like is he Dallas Goedert, or is he, one close to the Bowers and McBride guys? Like, I think Colston Loveland, at least from a receiving perspective. Oh, QJ, nice. I can't believe I just got excited for pick 91 Quentin Johnston. Now that I think about it. Anyway, what a world. Is Tyler Warren, right? Is Tyler Warren more in like the Dallas Goedert, Jake Ferguson, right? Isaiah Likely? Those are good football players. But, drafting those guys at pick 80 or pick 70 or whatever, 60, I don't even know what his ADP is. Drafting those guys at these prices, like, those end up being really detrimental to, that's like when we would take Evan Ingram that high, or, when guys skyrocket up in price off of a good season, but they're not difference-making talents. Happens to the sort of tight end dead zone where we end up taking this TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson is a good football player. Is he a difference-making, like that level of difference-making talent? Nope. And so then you see him fall back when he's not good enough, right, to transcend. I think Harold Fannin is good enough. I think Colston Loveland, at least as a pass catcher, is good enough. Is Tyler Warren? That remains to be seen. So that's sort of how I'm thinking about him. A little bit of back and forth. Will AI be complaining about our old jobs in a few years? God, don't get me started. I mean, if we're talking about ADP, speaking of falls, I'm gonna take Tucker Kraft. Jordan Love is gone, but that's okay. I mean, pick 102 for ADP 81. Tucker Kraft, speaking of, is definitely good enough. If Tucker Kraft hadn't torn his ACL, where would Tucker Kraft be going to? Yeah. Tyler Warren died. Tucker Kraft might have died. 2 rounds. The tight ends are plummeting here. But again, look at the quarterbacks. It's just like all quarterbacks for 4 rounds. Just nothing but quarterbacks. Jordan Tyson fell. Ricky Pearsall fell. These tight ends fell because everyone's just drafting the quarterbacks. It's crazy. So feels really sweet when you get that faller, right? You get that Tyler Warren, like, sweet. Like, even if you don't love Tyler Warren, you're like, well, shit, I'll take him 2 rounds after ADP. Even if you don't love Tucker Kraft, well, yeah, I got to take him 2 rounds after where he normally goes. Yeah. But if you didn't handle if I just took Ricky Pearsall which a lot of the times I might take Ricky Pearsall at the Justin Herbert pick, the pressure I'd be feeling right now is like, God damn it. This team is good. I like this team. And I screwed it up because I didn't just bite the bullet on the quarterback thing, right? Or I took that falling Tyler Warren price. It's like, well, you actually could have ended up getting Herbert plus right? If I took Warren, you have Warren plus Tyler Shuck or Herbert plus Kraft. And unless there's people who hate Herbert and Kraft, I think most people would say Herbert Kraft is far better than the former combination. Going to be fun when Algier and Javonte swap ADPs. Amen to that. Shuck, Darnold, Ward, Stroud, Young were all infected with the red virus. Can't wait to see Aaron Rodgers 130 ADP. It's insane, dude. Obviously, if Aaron Rodgers gets to pick 130, I mean, I didn't draft any Aaron, and I don't regret a single second of it. I didn't draft any Aaron Rodgers at pick 200. I'm not going to draft him at pick 130. But it will be funny to see people scramble to draft quarterbacks. Let's see of course, Rick keeps taking. Oh, damn, I already did 2 tight ends, and Gadsden is here. I mean, I'm not upset about the Kraft pick, but that's a perfect example. Chuck Donaldson. I really don't like David Montgomery. What's the receiver look like here? I'm going to take Matthew Golden, actually. Build out this Packers thing. Christian Watson, Tucker Kraft, Matthew Golden. Just, obviously, I don't have Jordan Love. Just building a little secondary Packer stack. I like to tie break to even the secondary stacks. I remember 2 years ago, had a really good run in Best Ball. No, I did not win anything like that. Had a really good run in Best Ball Mania up to the top 10. Was sitting in the top 5 for a very brief moment in the afternoon. Had a really good, really live team. And one of the biggest difference-making things was there was, some week 17 correlation in there as well. But like Dolphins secondary stack. So like having Jalen Waddle and then tossing on Achane and having it was Pickens and some Warren or something like that. Like tossing on DK Metcalf and then Sharbs and like tossing these guys on as like sort of condensing down your bets. Like if you like the guy and you have this sort of team level bet already built in, there's no rule that says you have to have the quarterback, because you can actually build out then like even more stacks within your one team. Like I got Chargers, right? I'm going to have, well, we'll see depending upon who my other quarterback or quarterbacks are. We'll see but over the summer, like you could build like 5 different stacks on into one team, 6 different stacks on into one team, and you only have 2 or 3 quarterbacks. I think it's a really underutilized lever in this game. Okay, I really don't like Shuck, guys. All right, let's skip it. Let's skip it and let's do, I've done a lot of Tajay. How many running backs do I have? 2. And I haven't done Emma yet. I'm sorry, I have to do Tajay though. Taking Tajay. There goes Darnold. We'll see. See what happens at quarterback here. I know what Rick is going to do. We'll see what these other guys on the end do. I don't know if I played that very well, but we'll see. Yeah, that is exactly what Golden is. Medicine Man. I'm taking my Matthew Golden. We talked about this in the Discord earlier today. I couldn't remember if we talked about it on this show or in the Discord, but coming out of college, I didn't really like Matthew Golden, the prospect. I thought him going in the first round was ridiculous. But Romeo Doubs is gone. Tucker Kraft did tear his ACL. The Packers have a good offense. And Golden was like reasonably efficient on some opportunities. And of course, they had some big plays that he, we can always do this, especially with deep threats. Like, oh, if he just hits one more of those big plays, look what his yards per route run would have been. Sure. But it's also true. And it's possible that I'm wrong about the year 2 player. I didn't really like Quentin Johnston either. And then, he eventually sort of breaks out. Like, I don't want to be too overconfident. And so I do want to stand by my takes and not make a big stand out of this guy that I don't like. I took too much Keon Coleman last year and didn't stand by my takes. You can, again, take your medicine of the player. That's what I'm doing with the Matthew Goldens of the world. Like, I still don't really think he's going to be a particularly great NFL wide receiver, but I'm willing to just take my medicine, take my 8% or whatever, and move on. Come on down, Malik Willis. There you go. Another shameless lab plug, which starts in 8 minutes. I don't think we're going to be starting on time. I don't think we're going to be starting on time. And now, like, I'm not drafting any of these quarterbacks unless something bad happens. But I'm not personally drafting any of these quarterbacks. So to continue on the quarterback conversation like we've been having, like Daniel Jones, I'm not really like Daniel Jones, JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix would be the guys where I'm like, oh God, break glass in case of emergency. I'm not drafting Shedeur. I'm not drafting Aaron Rodgers. Ty Simpson is fucking awful. Is Tua going to be a starter? Like, I would probably rather take a shot that someone trades for Mac Jones or take a shot on Marcus Mariota that like he's just a bridge, because there's just not enough quality quarterbacks to fill all these jobs. But I don't want to be in this business. I do not want to be in the business of any of these guys. Let me see what the running back position looks like. Oof. ACL Sharps. I know it's early, but let's just secure the old. Oh my God. Okay. Whew. That was scary. Get your guys. I'm a very big fan of the fact that we just started becoming get your guys fans around here. So good time to through 13 rounds. 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 6 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. Pretty set at quarterback and at tight end, so that's nice. But we started Jonathan Taylor, Jeremiah Love, the old tried and true superhero running back start that I don't do very much. Rashee Rice, Zay Flowers, Christian Watson. It's not bad recovery there at wide receiver. Like, Rashee Rice is pretty good. Hope Mahomes comes back. Zay Flowers, the wide receiver 1 for Lamar Jackson. Christian Watson, the wide receiver 1 for the Packers. Nice. Harold Fannin, Justin Herbert, QJ, of course, stacked with Justin Herbert. Tucker Kraft took the nice fall. We talked about that ADP tumble from Tucker Kraft, and of course Tyler Warren. Matthew Golden, a little more upside swing, of course, second year breakout wide receiver type stuff. And then Trey Harris, the same thing. Of course, Packers stack, but not with Love. Technically, I guess with Malik Willis. He has Green Bay next to his name, though he will not be a Green Bay Packer. Tyjae Spears, Malik Willis, and Trey Harris. I like this. This is a fun team. Interesting team. Fun team. Interesting team. All that good stuff. Wow. The guy next to me, I haven't been keeping too close a track of these, but Preston, if you're in here, Neighbors and Scat and Judkins and Mahomes. Taking the old no risk it, no biscuit to a whole new level. That's a lot of hurt guys. That's a lot of hurt guys. Interesting. Damn it. Said it again. Ooh, at what price do we draft Sharps? At what price do we draft Pat Bryant? I don't know how much Pat Bryant I'm going to get, but I think this feels good. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I am good with that. Another year two, Pat Bryant breakout. Kind of, right? Kind of the types of guys needed on this team. I think Rasheed, Zay, Watson are both good. Like, I mean, I like all three of those guys. Straight up good picks. Maybe Rasheed. I guess technically Christian Watson could ascend. I don't really think so. Outside of Rasheed, there's nobody on here that's like, right, QJ, Christian Watson, Zay Flowers, Rasheed Rice. They're all good picks in my opinion, but like sort of stabilizers. Kind of know what you're going to get, and what you're going to get is good, but you're not going to get like, whoa, JSN is a first round pick now. Whoa, Olave is a second round pick now. Like, we're not going to get that from their season. And so you need a little bit of, Matthew Gold and Trey Harris. And I don't think Matthew Gold and Trey Harris or Pat Bryant are going. They're not Jackson Smith and Jigba. They're not Chris Olave, but could they become J-Mo, Burden, Alec Pierce, Michael Wilson? Could they become something like that? I don't see why not. If Alec Pierce and Michael Wilson can do it, why the hell can't one of these guys in year two? Okay, like I know he's hurt, but I think I'm supposed to take Sharps here, right? I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to take Sharps here. I know ACL, whatever, but that's the point of taking JT, Jeremiah Love, and Tyjae Spears is you're pretty goddamn good at running back already. So I think that's part of the point. And I don't know how much. Oh my God, Joe Mixon went right before Charbonnet. I don't know how much Sharps I'm going to be taking in this tournament. So, as we start to wind down, we're through 15 rounds here: 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 7 wide receivers. Probably turn this into at least 6 running backs for sure, maybe 7. We'll see whether it's 2 tight ends or 3, whatever. We'll see. With Kraft coming off an ACL. As we wind down, I think I like this time on Wednesdays leading right into the lab. It helps me sort of block my time. I know I just managed it terribly because, as Rick said, DraftKings drafts are so long that it's basically like being waterboarded, having to draft a fantasy football team for an hour. Just a totally miserable experience having to talk about fantasy football with people on a Wednesday afternoon in February. But I think the plan is to keep it at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time here on Wednesdays, leading right into the lab. So anybody can come join us in the Discord for the lab every Wednesday, and then back at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, Thursdays and Fridays for more drafting. It will mostly be football, but we will mix in some baseball as well. And I think we'll I think what I want to do I'm kind of, the beauty of running your own company is get to choose whatever it is that you want to do. But I think what I want to do, like on Fridays, is just freaking draft. We can draft baseball and football. We can draft. There's an NBA midseason tournament right now. We can draft freaking battle royales. We could draft whatever. Golf, doesn't matter. Katron. Okay, now is Vele gone? No, he is not. Let's do that. Speaking of stabilizers, Devon Vele Also, just realized Justin Jefferson's on the thumbnail of the video, and not a lot of Justin Jefferson talk. That's always the difficult part of putting together a thumbnail for just like a draft show, which you would really like to, like, technically, from this is why people will put the screamer on the thumbnail, is because then, like, when you do drafts and stuff, it doesn't really matter who you put on there. I will touch on, I think Justin Jefferson is like a really good, I don't know what just happened to my screen. Is there like a really good, really, really good pick in these? What did he go here? Yeah, so the field has also gotten hip to, Justin Jefferson is still probably the best wide receiver on the planet, and we're getting him at a really nice price. Damn, who took Flanoy? Okay, I've drafted Keaton 2-4. I will do Keaton though. Keaton, a very interesting. Damn it! Said it again. A very. Then I always say fascinating. If I don't say interesting, I always say fascinating. Polarizing. But boom bust. Not only is he a boom bust player, that is a boom bust free agent signing. Does he just come back to the Ravens? Is there anyone out there who sees Keaton? Keaton Mitchell is good at football. I don't really think it's disputable, but it's a weird, it's fairly like niche within the football world. The things he does well, he does really well, but he only does this these three things or whatever, right? He does these small three things. He does not do everything that it is required of like a workhorse running back. But does any team see what he can do and say, I mean, if we just give this guy like 15 touches a game, he's going to be super productive. Does Mike McDaniel, right? Does Mike McDaniel say, I had Achane. Keaton ain't Achane, but that's like dollar store Devon Achane that we could get for free. Does someone like that see Keaton as a free agent and say, this is a guy that is too good to be just toiling away, getting 3 touches a game for the Baltimore Ravens, because they have Derrick Henry, and I get that, but he's tantalizing. There we go. He's not interesting. He's tantalizing. Is Keaton Mitchell. We're going to come up over the next 6 months. The mission is to come up with as many words to replace you saying interesting about players or teams, or that's an interesting strategy. It means it's boring as shit is what it really means. Oh, yeah. That player, he's really interesting. No, he's not. If he was actually interesting, you wouldn't say interesting. And I find myself just defaulting to it. So we're going to work on the vocab for the next 6 months. There's my mission. Yes, as soon as I am done here, as Rick has pointed out, these drafts are so long. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's truly unbelievable that we are subjected to this. I'm taking Ray Davis here. It's legitimately unbelievable that we are subjected to hour-long drafts. Fantasy football drafts in February. How could anyone be okay with this? If my fantasy football draft that I do in February is not over in 45 minutes, I'm going to write a strongly worded letter to Mr. DraftKings. Oh, that's, dare I say, interesting. Wheel Route says, I think interesting is fine. Just don't overuse fascinating. See, I'm the opposite. the word interesting is the most overused in our little world. I mean, it's probably, if we're playing a game of Family Feud and the question, hold on the clock, round 19, 2682. Let's go receiver. Ooh, Kyle. How about let's just do the full Green Bay thing and go Wicks and just no Jaden Reed, of course, and just sort of buy. We sometimes talk about, people would call it handcuffing, but like buying a backfield in best ball, and like just buying this Packers pass game and just saying, look, it's very unlikely that I find, the next Puka here in round 19 at wide receiver, but I can just say, I got all the Packers stuff in the passing game. Obviously no Jaden Reed, but let's just say Jaden Reed just continues to be kind of a slot only player. Maybe, Christian Watson misses some time. Okay, Wick steps in, or Matthew Golden misses some time, or Wick steps in, or whatever. Buying a pass game, especially in the big board, maybe not so much over the summer when the player pool shrinks a little bit more, but with the just total chaos of the last couple of rounds in like at this time of year, I don't mind the idea of, and like Wicks isn't like some total boring wide receiver. He's a little bit boring, anti-interesting, anti-fascinating. The RotoViz, I love the RotoViz guys, but they say fascinating a lot, I guess. Interesting. Damn it. See, this is a me problem. I'm talking through my own personal flaws in real time here. So I'm extrapolating my overuse of the word interesting probably onto other people, though I do pick up on it from others as well. I think it's an epidemic, if you will. Do you think Fernando Mendoza is as high a caliber prospect as Caleb Williams? No, not even close. I think Fernando Mendoza is closer to the Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett types of prospect than Caleb Williams. Okay, we're at 2692. Let's look at tight end. Waller, I should have looked at this stuff ahead of time, by the way. You know what? We said keep an eye on Malik Davis. Let's have some fun. Let's take a flyer on Malik Davis to close it out. Warehouse likes Mendoza a little bit more than I do. We will have lots of time to discuss Fernando Mendoza over the course of the next few weeks and a couple months heading into the NFL draft. As I mentioned before, be back at 11 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. So 11 a.m. Eastern on Thursdays and Fridays, 4:30 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. We draft, and man, we're going to draft tons of football teams heading into the NFL draft. Yes, this shit is year round. I can't believe it nowadays, but we're also going to draft some baseball teams. NBA playoffs are coming. All sorts of fun stuff. March Madness, whatever. We're going to be drafting a lot here this spring. Talking strategy, of course, doing some more. Corain and I are scheduling something for this week. I'm working on a report card for myself from the summer, and of course our rookie stuff, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, rookie rankings and evaluations and all that kind of stuff. So the Mendoza conversation and everything is coming soon, I promise you. But got to get out of here. If you are in the Discord, come join us in the lab, which is about 10 minutes late. Then it's totally my fault. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.